Today on the show, strategy plus action equals connecting the world. Great coaches and consultants like you have the ability to change people's lives and transform entire organizations. And your impact can often go far beyond the clients you work with. One of the reasons I love working with coaches and consultants is because of that ripple effect. This show is here to highlight your expertise and empower you with resources and new ideas to grow your business. Welcome to Strategy in Action. Maxine Cunningham is on the show today, and I am thrilled to bring you this episode because not only is connection and bringing people together and having those conversations, those are my favorite things in the world. But Maxine herself is an absolute force in getting that done and just an amazing, wonderful person. And she really is connecting the world. And this is, not hyperbole at all. And she's got a platform called Pick My Brain that is facilitating this. She has an incredible story of how she was inspired to, not only start the platform, but first start this mission of facilitating 10 million conversations around the world, the why behind that. And then those first couple of steps to validate this and then go out there and make it happen. Absolute genius on her approach. And it really is attracting folks from all over the world to help in this mission, because it is this phenomenal unifying platform to not only have one-on-one conversations with people all over the world, a marketplace for that as well, but there are so many more use cases for this, from universities to corporations and we get into all of this, and it's phenomenal. I hope you can tell how excited I am for the platform, for Maxine herself and what she's built and is building and just going full force all over the world. She was just, a couple of months in Pakistan. She's in Dubai right now as we record this. I'm just so impressed with what she's built and how she's bringing this world together. All right, let's jump in. Maxine Cunningham, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jason.
Absolutely. This is a blast. There are so many things I want to talk to you about. And you are the ultimate person, I think, to talk about connecting the world here, because that is absolutely your mission, and not I'm going to sit back and one day I'll work on this. No. You are full force connecting the world as we speak, and it's just phenomenal. And I'm so excited to dig into this topic. It's one of my favorite things in the world is connection and introducing people and having an amazing network. Yeah. So I'm so excited to dig into this. But give some folks some context here, and we'll kind of take it in layers, but Pick My Brain is your baby, your wonderful, amazing. Yeah, exactly. So what's gotten you here, and also why this connection, why this need, why this pull to travel the world as you are, and as I talk to you, you're in Dubai now, just came from Pakistan, and you're again on a whirlwind here. So let us know. Give us a little origin story, if you will.
Little origin story. All right, guys. So nice to be here. Maxine, CEO of a company called Pick My Brain. High level, Pick My Brain is on a mission to facilitate 10 million conversations between the world's people. And we believe that if we are able to do that, we will unlock $1 billion worth of knowledge commerce opportunities. So knowledge commerce, if you haven't heard that before, essentially it is monetizing one's knowledge. And we believe at Pick My Brain that knowledge commerce is going to be the new e-commerce, and that everything that happens from knowledge commerce actually starts with a conversation. And not even the commerce part, but everything in your life, whether it is an opportunity, an idea, a perspective, a new direction, typically starts with a conversation. The origin is a conversation. And so that is why our number one KPI that we measure and our mission is attached to facilitating 10 million conversations. Because everything really happens there. There's just so many opportunities that are born. Like, you can imagine if 10 million of us connected one-on-one like we are today, human to human, how much value would be unlocked, how much perspective would be unlocked, how many ideas, how much human connection, empathy, wellness. There's so much attached to people talking. And so how do we do that? We have a three-prong approach and that involves a profile, a marketplace, and networking. And so what we've done at Pick My Brain, okay, so how do we if I go about it, how do I facilitate 10 million conversations between the world's people? Well, first I need to know who out there is open and available to having conversations. And so Pick My Brain, when you log on to Pick My Brain, you have an opportunity to build a profile. And we call this profile a knowledge profile. And it's very similar. If you can build a LinkedIn profile, you can build a Pick My Brain profile. Only we believe that, LinkedIn came out in the 90s and it's a wonderful tool, but we believe that we're more than our resumes these days. We are also a collection of our experiences, our values. And one of the most important questions we ask you when you're filling out a Pick My Brain profile is, how do you want to be of service to the world? And so you start by building this profile that starts to paint a picture of all of the knowledge and the experiences that you have, and starts to articulate how you want to make that knowledge available to others. And so that kind of signals, that starts the process. And everyone that's on Pick My Brain that builds a Pick My Brain profile, that means that you are open and available to sharing your time, knowledge, and experience with the world. So that's piece one. Let's get everyone a knowledge profile that signals that they are open and available, just as ubiquitous as LinkedIn is. There's 193 million users on LinkedIn. I mean, what if Pick My Brain could capture that and you knew that you could talk to 193 individuals via the click of a button? So the second approach is, okay, once we start to articulate and get people inspired about how to share what they know with the world, we need to aggregate that and put it into a marketplace. Okay, so that now we can search all the individuals that are open and available to share their knowledge, so I can find who it is I want to talk to or learn from or meet or do business with, etc. And so the vision of that, I always say, and I have this reoccurring dream with Jeff Bezos, but we're saying we want to build the Amazon-sized marketplace, but on our marketplace, there is no products, okay? There is just conversations and knowledge-based services. And we want to make it as easy to book a conversation with anybody in the world as it is to order a product online. If it's almost inspiring that you can order a product anywhere in the world and have it delivered to your doorstep through supply chain management. We're like, that's crazy. Certainly we could do that with people and organized schedules. So that's piece two. Number one, build a profile, let the world know that you are open to sharing, articulate your knowledge in a new way. Number two, have that profile uploaded to a giant marketplace where people can search and find you. And number three is a combination of allowing you to unlock free offers and paid offers so that you can communicate how you want to be booked. You can set your own rate, rules, and availability on Pick My Brain. So the commerce element is baked into the tool. But the last step is that we get all these people networking. We direct people to the marketplace. We get people in the marketplace talking. And just by doing that, just by combining and colliding everyone who is open and available to sharing their knowledge, business opportunities are born, creation and value is unlocked. And so we find with a profile, that marketplace, and making them talk regularly with consistency, that's kind of all we need to achieve this mission of facilitating 10 million conversations and unlocking this new knowledge commerce economy. So that's what I'm all about. Contextually, where are we at in that journey? We are just getting started, but we have 1,000 brains from over 88 countries who have done 20,000 transactions. We've done about $1 million in sales on the marketplace. So we've really validated that this can work for a wide variety of people. And by this time next year, based on our pipeline, we should have about 100,000 brains in our platform. And hopefully the goal one day is to have 196 countries represented. So you really can have a conversation with anyone from any country about anything. So that's high level. So I'll pause there. But that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm super passionate about.
It's fantastic. What did the dream and goal of 10 million conversations come first, or
Oh,
kind of at the same time as
yeah.
the platform idea?
That's a great question. And it was recently 1 million. And I just started to increase it because I'm seeing that that's just not big enough and it'll probably grow. But the vision actually was my own craving of being like, what if I could have a conversation with anybody? What would that unlock for me as an individual? What would become possible in my life? Where would I go? What would I be introduced to if I had that access? Because when I went on my journey, and a lot of us do this, right? When we're trying to decide who we are and what we want to do and what our impact is that we want to leave in the world, you kind of got to have conversations to figure out where you belong. And, I would talk to my peers. And then when I would try to go outside to people that I looked up to, what is my way to do that? I have to send either a LinkedIn message, a DM to this person, not knowing if they're open and available. I have to wait for an indefinite period of time, maybe be ghosted, maybe not. And it was weird back then to be like, I am willing to pay you to go for a coffee and conversation. I just really would love to learn your journey. I would really love to pepper you with questions so I can add some context to this map that I'm building for myself. And so I just remember I was taking a year on, and we can speak to that later, of discovering of how I wanted to be, what I wanted to be. And I was having so many conversations. I was like, oh, this is going to help. And I was sending people like, I will pay you for this. But back then it was super weird. I was like, do you want me to e-transfer you? Like it wasn't seamless. And I would offer it, but it just wasn't as easy as it was to book an Airbnb and pay for a room. And then, so yeah, I just found friction on the demand side of wanting to talk to people that I admired and not being able to, and not feeling like that was holding me back. And then actually right at that time, my mom, who is a successful entrepreneur, 25 years, was retiring and had no easy way to share her knowledge and let others draw on it. And she wanted to. And I remember this hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what do you mean you can't share your knowledge? What is the point? If you go through this amazing life and you can't pass down your knowledge before you die. And I remember thinking, yeah, that is actually another problem. She would have to build a website. She would have to have a calendar integration, some kind of payment if she wanted to charge. And then she'd have to market that herself. Okay. And my mom is of a generation that no way she's going to go through that process of integrating that. She's just not of the generation that knows how to seamlessly do all those things. And it's a lot of work. And she already did her 25 years of hard work. And I remember that night Googling, yeah, like how many people are retiring every year in the US alone. And it's a staggering amount. And my visual was, where is all their knowledge going? Is it being captured? Is it being redistributed? Is it being shared? And if my mom was struggling with doing that, surely there are a number of other people struggling doing that. And I just had this aha moment. I was like, this is the problem I want to solve. There is something here. What if I could monetize knowledge? What if I could create a platform that would make it as easy for my mom to list her brain as it is for her to list an Airbnb listing? What if? And that what if question was the launch into this journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's it really is kind of an all or nothing solution in that scenario. When it comes to, someone like your mom who wants to do that and share that, but she doesn't want to go be a consultant, go write a book, that's a path. You can do that. There are avenues. And just like you said, you could build out a site, you could do all of this stuff. But how many layers of friction, and now you've got to market it, and now and I mean, there are far more people like your mom who have this knowledge, and if it was easy enough, and simple, just frictionless enough, just possible.
Yeah.
So we're like, one day a week I can share my
Yep.
knowledge, and then the rest of the time is my own, rather
Exactly.
than full time. Here's my next venture
Yeah.
in
Yes.
order to go do that.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Um,
What I'm always curious in this too is I've got two paths I want to go. One is certainly your, I don't know, the drive also of this global aspect, and I want to get into that because that's its own fantastic result of all that and
yeah.
connecting the world that way. Certainly something we need more of. But staying on this origin story a little bit, what was, what's step one in that? When
Yeah.
you have this, like, this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
good grief, like, where do you go from there to even start that process?
Yeah. So once I had that idea, the first thing I knew I needed to do was to validate it. Okay. So I knew that for myself, I would pay for a conversation. But I didn't know if other people would. So at first I had to be like, okay, I have to go prove and see if those out there are willing to have conversations with people and they have the the drive enough to be able to pay for it just like they would on Airbnb. So I was like, okay, I'll go do this myself. I'm a nobody. If I can sell my knowledge, certainly other people can sell their knowledge. And so one of the first things I did was I made a listing. And I actually went full circle. Airbnb was the reason I actually ended up quitting my job and going on this journey and transitioning from an investment banker to an economist to a startup founder, because of what they were able to unlock with a peer-to-peer marketplace. I just fell in love with their model and how global it was and how much environmental and social impact it unlocked by just simply monetizing the shared asset. The only thing I did was I transitioned it and just made it all about knowledge. So I went full circle and made this listing. Airbnb had just come out with experiences at the time. And an experience is the Airbnb experiences marketplace is typically spending time with someone who takes you on an experience. They wanted to make travel agents available. I said, okay, well, I don't want to necessarily do like a whole experience. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm mostly interested in conversation. So I'll use their demand and their platform to test it. And what I did was I packaged and priced an offer, and it was called Coffee and Conversation with a Startup Founder. That was it. And it was $50. And the description was, we're going to go to my favorite coffee place and we're going to talk about the future of work, the future of education, and any ideas that you have. I'm Maxine. I'm a new founder. I'm a former economist, and I just love talking about ideas. Okay. And that was the offer. That was it. And you can Google it and go find what it looked like when I launched it back 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, okay, let's see if people will pay me to go for coffee and conversation. Like, who knows? And Jason, I say this every time people ask me, I was blown away. 60 people from around the world booked and paid me to go for coffee and conversation over the course of like 5 months. I was going for coffee and conversation multiple times a week. And
Wow.
it was incredible. It was single-handedly probably one of the most validating experiences of my entire life, because I realized that without a formal offer, it's actually harder for people to reach out because they have no idea if I'm open. But because I put this in a formalized offer and put it as a paid offer, strangers could book it and very credibly feel like this would happen, right? They felt comfort and safety in that this offer existed, and so they could purchase it. They were comfortable with that. And that's kind of the difference between Couchsurfing and Airbnb. Couchsurfing was a huge platform before Airbnb existed that was based on a free model. You could stay on anyone's couch for free. And I used it all the time, but most of my friends were really uncomfortable with it because it was free. They're like, no, I'm not going to go stay at someone's house, a stranger's house for free. But then Airbnb came along and monetized it and made that transaction much more comfortable, right? Because it's formalized. And so I found that when I listed this coffee and conversation, it formalized it to complete strangers who didn't know who I was, to be able to come in and spend some intimate time with this girl from Vancouver who's a startup founder that's going for coffee. And it was just absolutely eye-opening. The value, yes, I made $3,000+ selling coffee and conversations, which was cool. But it was the value outside of that that Airbnb couldn't capture, and I can start to monetize as an economist, was in the millions. Like, first of all, Pick My Brain was born, and Pick My Brain has a valuation, so like that was there. The first person who booked me ended up becoming my first employee. That was a very valuable relationship in my life. The second person that booked me became so enamored with my idea that he became the first person that wrote me my first $50,000 check in the company later on. The third person that booked me was this CEO from another province in Canada, and I fell in love with him. And we had an incredible relationship, and I was like, because that was very unexpected. But conversations lead to chemistry. And then I had these 50 plus other bookings where, I don't know, I remember this booking with a beekeeper who booked me. A beekeeper wanted to sit down and talk to me about his ideas. And I got to learn all about his mission of putting beehives on every university in the world. I had students booking me, immigrants booking me, wanting to know how to touch down in Vancouver. I had people that were traveling from different countries that just wanted something to do, and they loved the idea of going to someone's favorite coffee shop and connecting with a local. And I realized at the end of this experience, I walked out of it with a global network. And because when you sit down with someone so intimately and have a conversation, typically there's more that unlocks from it. So many of the people I met were like, if you are ever in Brazil, if you are ever in Germany, if you are ever in Sweden, you look me up and you call me and you can stay at my house, or we'll go for dinner, or I'll take you to my favorite place. And so again, the value, like, how does one quantify the value that I got from monetizing a unique knowledge-based offer? I don't know. So I was convinced. So that was the first step, validating I had to feel it. I got to experience the value of something like this. Monetarily, yes, but it ended up being, no, the value was so much more than that. And so I was all in on Pick My Brain after that. I was like, I think the whole world should be open and available for coffee and conversation. What if I could go for coffee and conversation with a teacher and a scientist and an artist? And when I drop into Paris, I could look at all the people I could go for coffee with at a cool cafe and learn, really deeply learn about the city and the culture and their lives and their experiences, instead of just going to the Eiffel Tower or all these things that I've already done. Like, what if I can go for coffee with an art critique from the Louvre and get inspired to go to a museum I haven't? I just couldn't stop thinking about if everyone was open and available for a coffee and conversation. And I believed that everyone could be, because I was. And I don't have anything special about me. I was just I was a beginner startup founder living in a city, some girl who wanted to meet some people. And so it just took me over. I just became so passionate about this vision and how close it would bring us all, and what a unique experience and how more interesting it would make us. And I was off to the races from there. And then there were steps, right? Then I had to prove that out for other people. And so again, I built the profile, made my first MVP, and started onboarding. My mom was the first person I onboarded. And I packaged and priced her knowledge in a unique way, beyond just a coffee conversation, and saw success in her launching her offers. And then I did that for 100 people eventually, and taught them how to package and price their knowledge, and found out what worked and what didn't work, and what worked for everyone, and then what unique offers worked for some. And so I became and then those 100 people brought 500 people, and those 500 people brought 1,000 people. And now we're in 88 countries without spending $1 on advertising. And we've attracted, those people to this concept. And the vision just keeps growing, right? It's still in its infancy. Knowledge commerce is still a very new thing, right? Even purchasing it, we're still very addicted to purchasing things we can touch. But this is very different. You are buying like a time and energy from someone's mind focused on you. And so, yeah, we're just consistently validating this as we grow and scale and applying it. And so like the journey has just been so fun. It's just gone in so many directions, but that's how it got started. Yeah.
That's incredible. And that's what a what a genius way to validate. First off, I want to highlight the validation process too, because so many people skip that, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't do a lean startup or, co-create. They there's like, okay, I need to hire a developer. Like, whoa,
Yes.
hold on,
Whoa.
slow down.
Yeah.
And then what a genius way to validate it. I wouldn't have even for one second thought like, oh, let me use this other platform. Fantastic. And I can still feel it in you.
Yeah.
The emotion that validating process, those 60 people brings up, because it made everything real.
It did.
In those few months. And I can feel that emotion. You're still, even though that was years ago, like that, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changed my life.
And I love this aspect of it too, that we got into right away as you described the platform, that I love so much, is that we're joining this conversation like immediately in the commerce and the connection, right? And it's a beautiful mix. And anyone who's listened to more than one show is probably sick of hearing me say it, but like I'm just baffled at people who think those are things in silos. Okay, we can be human and people, or we can go make money and run a business or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't get that at all. Like there's this great, blending of it all. Yeah. And I think those distinctions are powerful, and you got to it so well too in the description of that validating side of it, is because bringing that commerce into it not only is okay, but that's actually what is making it better. That's what Airbnb did. Yes. They actually made it a better experience.
Exactly.
And we get in the interview there because I'm just ecstatic with those proof points, if you will, and that hammering that home.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because for some people, and I'll give them, on their behalf, I'll give them their time here a little bit. But I understand if, just the networkers, people who connect all the time and things like that, and their head maybe goes to, well, why would I charge? I wouldn't charge that, and I wouldn't pay someone else. Like that's
right.
I'll just meet with whoever. Number one, cool, do that.
Yeah.
You can do that on the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. But I think, at least for what I've experienced, and I'd love to have you dig into this, but when it comes into the marketplace part of it, what's so fantastic is that, again, it helps validate and bring the serious conversations a little bit in these specialized, nuanced ways. Because another thing that you said that I loved was, it's not just like, hey, cool, let's meet and maybe we'll sort of, no, it's that person's time and attention and expertise focused on you and what you need. And I think that right there is the differentiator, right? Like between the free conversations and cool and just meet folks, awesome. And then like, I need help with this thing. Yeah. And the most successful people in the world, I don't care how successful they are, they seek out solutions. Yeah. Exactly. Those people. So have you fought the pushback a little bit in similar ways, or?
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever go away. Like, I still access my network, but what we don't have access to everyone. What about when those are inaccessible? Or can I challenge you to receive perspective or time and energy from someone that is from a different country or culture, and add a unique lens to what you are typically used to seeing if you're going to those who are like-minded. Therapy wasn't a thing back in the day, and now it's a billion-dollar industry because we want to talk about our past and we want to relate that to why we are where we are, and analyze and self-reflect. Because I think the transition, what we're going through as society is ultimately, I think we're all trying to reach a higher level of consciousness right now that and that'll only continue once more and more things are automated and more things are done for us, right? We saw the proliferation of ChatGPT, and AI recently, and we're going to see what the result is of that. But the way I think about it is, these tools are going to do more and more things for us, which leave more time for us to reach higher levels of intelligence, connection, consciousness, however you want to frame it. And so what are we going to do with that excess time? I want to just challenge people to not necessarily think about it like, I want to meet the world's people. You want to travel the world? So do I, but I want to travel the world through conversations. So it's almost like a pursuit instead of always thinking about it in terms of consulting. That's very transactional. I like to think about it as a challenge. So on both sides, on the supply side, we always sign up for these 100-day yoga challenges or 100-day fasts or marathons. We're very we love our challenges as society, and I totally get that. And I just want to add another one to the mix. Why don't, on the supply side, you challenge yourself to help 100 people this year through connections? And you can go on Pick My Brain and say, dear world, like, I'm signing up to sell or offer $100,000 with my services this year if you want to do the gifting. And again, you don't have to. Pick My Brain allows you to gift, sell, do both, right? But like, can you challenge, even if you charged 100, this year I want to help 100 people do this thing for this price. And you bring something to the table that wasn't there before. And what we're seeing on Pick My Brain is all these new offerings, these offerings that don't exist anywhere else. You can shop on Pick My Brain for things that you can't buy anywhere else because people are creating them because we're asking them how they want to be of service to the world. We had the former CEO of Upwork join Pick My Brain because he was bored of GLG consulting. Typically his brain was used, can you look at this financial report and see what you see, right? That was what his brain was being farmed out for. And he's like, I actually would really love to just talk to entrepreneurs and hear about their ideas and direct them. I was like, well, this is a great platform to do it. So it can be fun, right? Launching offers doesn't have to be, so that'd be one thing I'd say is like, number one, why don't you challenge yourself to be more open, available, and accessible to society and see what comes in and go through the transformation that occurs when you are. And on the demand side, same thing. I would love to challenge the world's people to meet 100 people before they die. And I've already done 1,000 in 4 years. Like, I'm obviously a hyper user because I am the CEO of the platform and I use it all the time. But now I have 1,000 people to draw on, and I have 1,000, and it's like I've got this context that I've never had before, and this ability to converse with anyone from any industry, from any country, from any generation in a way that I never had before. I've learned a little bit more about the art of conversation. I have a long way to go still, but I learned so much by having and experiencing that many conversations. So why not challenge yourself to meet the world's people and not be like, listen, I've got my own people and have that ego, but instead to broaden, well, okay, great. Have you talked to someone from Russia about what's going on from their perspective? Have you had a conversation with someone from China about how they feel about living in a state-owned enterprise? Have you talked to someone from, I don't know, a spiritual background of something that you don't believe in or see and like went there? The chances are probably not. You're very comfortable in your world. And so, yeah, like there's a number of ways to look at it, but I would flip his mindset around, or his or her mindset around this pursuit of knowledge and perspective a little bit. It's more fun than just consulting. It's got a different feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many layers to the benefits here of this platform, because you've got, it's obviously going to attract people like yourself. I already travel the world. I wish I could do it more. Yeah. And awesome. Now I can have even more of those conversations. I think that's maybe, here's this percentage, right? And that's an easy win, right? Like, oh, cool. Yeah, of course. But you have a vast majority who are, oh, that would be cool. Like, I got one vacation a year. Maybe I won't go, they're full-time, whatever. But that is interesting. I would like to meet more people. I don't know how I do it. Yeah. Amazing solution. And just having that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think even more who they're in their world and they don't necessarily, it's not a driving force for them, whether they have the money to do it or travel or not.
Yeah.
That isn't. But if it's this easy, like,
Yeah.
oh, I see that, they hear this
Yeah.
interview, they
Yeah.
come across an article about Pick My Brain, like, oh, interesting.
Right.
And it just speaks to all of those layers so well to help just make it easy, like you talk
Yeah.
about, and facilitate these. And
Gotta be so easy, and it's gotta be bigger than ourselves. I really truly believe deep down in my cellular level that if we all just committed to meeting one new person a month, okay, just a month, the whole world would be different. There would be an understanding of one another that is above and beyond what we have today. And that's not a big ask. And I would love to get it to a point, someday where this system becomes so strong that it starts to recommend, Pick My Brain's algorithm isn't based on the number of clicks I'm making on the internet and just showing me more like-minded stuff. Pick My Brain's algorithm is based on building me a global perspective and making sure that I am as understanding and is in the know and relevant and interesting as possible. So it'd be like, Pick My Brain's algorithm, like, Maxine, you haven't talked to someone from Alaska yet. Maybe you should talk to an entrepreneur from Alaska and see what it's like there. Or, it's like it's like, which compartments do I need to know a lot about? Finance, health, spirituality, personal development, professional development. You can cut it a number of ways in terms of interest. You can cut it a number of ways in terms of geography, in terms of culture, in terms of generation. Where do I go on the internet right now to have a conversation with someone who's 80 years old? Nowhere. Where do I do that? Where do I get that knowledge? I don't have my grandparents here anymore. And so I actually don't get to sit and have time with someone who's at that stage of life. And for both of us, it's very, very complimentary, but I don't know where to go do that. I don't know where to go and get a conversation with a student to be like, yo, what are you feeling? How do you feel about the world? And touch in and get that understanding just among people, just a little dose. It doesn't always have to be so transactional as what value am I going to gain? What value would I have to talk to someone outside of my world? I'm like, well, a lot actually. Especially if you think the world could be more collaborative and cooperative and less antagonistic than it is right now. If you believe that, right? Here's a perfect example. I went to Pakistan for 2 months, okay? Because of Pick My Brain, first of all. I have opportunities that introduce themselves to me all the time just by being on this platform. But I told my friends, like, I'm going to go to Pakistan. And the first thing was, why would you go there? It's so dangerous. And I was like, okay, like every other country I've ever traveled to, the perception has been way off from when I've landed. You haven't even asked me why. I'm really interested in bringing a knowledge economy to a developing country to see if we can leapfrog it. It's a pretty cool pursuit. And I'm going to go check it out. I've got a safe place to stay and I'll let you know. And I was only supposed to go for 3 weeks. I ended up staying 2 months because I fell in love with the people. I did not feel danger, and maybe it was, I was very lucky in the connections that I had when I landed, but the beauty that country and those people and the challenges that exist in that country. And no one ever told me about that when I traveled there. They had so little reference and so narrow of a range of a perspective that I was like, why do you even feel qualified to tell me that? You can't tell me, is there a president? Who's the president? Who's the prime minister? What is the history? Did you know that India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan were one country? Did you know that country has been around for 2,000 years? Do you know anything else about the country? What about the food? Nothing else came up. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go increase my perspective because I want to show off how narrow your scope is. And that is really it's such a quality that we all have. Like, there's a lot of that quality in the world, like such a limited opinion that I'm like, please go broaden that opinion. Surely there's some great artists and minds in Pakistan. Like, you've got to believe that. So you can open your mind all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, all from opinions of these places they've never set foot in.
Exactly. I was like,
Right?
what the
Like,
heck? Yeah.
and that's the thing too, to like, again, there's certain people who are just like, well, I know it's the truth because
Yeah.
the news told me, and
The news told
they're never going to veer from them. And,
Yeah.
they're probably not Pick My Brain material, right? Like
But I
they're,
want to introduce it. I think everyone could gain from having conversations from people. But yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
They're in
Yeah.
they won't be the leading
They won't be the
users.
leaders.
They'll get
No.
there. We'll get them
Yeah.
eventually. That's, yeah.
Totally.
But that's what's so fascinating, to at least stop, even if you have these opinions and this mindset,
Yeah.
we all do, just because we're inundated with them.
Yeah.
But that power to sit there and go, like, mid-sentence, you should be going like, why do I believe that? Like, I feel like I really have a strong opinion on this, but I cannot tell you why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have that self-awareness, I mean, there's plenty of things in life we should
Check
do that with, right?
Yeah, and if I can, how I would often respond to the Americans that would tell me that, like, I had a few of, I was in Austin at the time, and so that was the main perspective, and I was like, just to put that in context, like, just a couple weeks ago, there was a school shooting in your country where you killed a bunch of elementary school children. Is that dangerous? Do you think that's dangerous? Is that the same level of dangerous that you're telling me that Pakistan has? So I always would just try to find a perspective, a framing of being like, let's talk about this then. Let's talk about what danger is. Because that doesn't happen there, but that happens here. So what does that mean? And I would just stop them for a minute. But you're right. I'm not going to lead that way. But what if Pick My Brain could make its way and bake itself into the culture so that when you are a student, okay, you are in school, it becomes mandatory as a course, as a credit that you have to get in order to graduate, to show that you have a wide range, the ability to think outside of your own perspective. Right. And so this is one of our pushes now that we've gone 4 years through Pick My Brain. We're looking at building marketplaces, knowledge marketplaces for universities, and going so far as being like, every university student in order to graduate should probably at minimum have 10 hours of global networking and experience, right? We do these 100-hour yoga certificates so that we can practice yoga. Surely it's not such a big idea to make sure that students have 10 hours of global conversation or networking or mentorship from a wide variety of professionals that give them, at least some time talking about who they are and what they want to be with people who have done it. And the ability to touch into discovering where they live. We live in a borderless world right now. Like, it is a different world. So if I can bake it into the culture, and here's another way we're baking it into the culture is, once we have millions of people on this platform all categorized, what if we could then go approach the teachers? Okay, there's 85 million teachers in the world. What if I could go to the teachers and be like, dear teachers, I would like to offer you access to a marketplace that allows you to bring in anybody in the world into your classroom for the students to talk to. What if that became normal? Like, when I went to school, the teacher would roll in a TV and, put in a movie. Well, like, we've just advanced now. What if that teacher could say, listen, we're learning about science. Today's weekly professional that's coming to the class to ask you guys some questions, or you can ask them, is a scientist from NASA. I book them on Pick My Brain, and it's one-to-many now. Now, as a student, I get a little bit of inquiry-based learning. I get a bit of story. And we're just starting to complement this curriculum that is so theoretical. So if we can bake it into that, then I think the warmness, the openness, to be, this is very normal. It's a normal thing to do, to go have a conversation with someone to gain some perspective. Then that'll come. That's like a long-term play, but I think that makes sense to me. It's a no-brainer from my perspective. The teachers that I've interviewed are like, that would be wonderful, to be able to bring people from different countries into the classroom, and professionals. And every professional I've talked to would be like, imagine if you got this ping, Jason, a class in Uganda would like you to come in and talk about podcasting and what you've learned in your story. Are you open to doing that? But, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I would take that on. Or no, like, not for me, whatever. But what an interesting opportunity at the very least for both parties. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And this is a perfect transition time too to get into these. This is how much bigger. This is why at the beginning of this interview, people are starting to understand now too my excitement and how big this conversation is too, because that's exactly it. Like, it's massive in and of itself on an individual one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
When you start getting into university, I know when you and I talked last time, get the alumni involved.
Yes.
Make that. We ask them for money all the time. Just ask for their time.
Yeah.
That point that you brought up with them, I think that's genius. And make that 10 hours with alumni, who are out in the real world.
Yeah.
Make that requirement.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then what you're doing, you're on the corporate level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baking into corporations, bringing this platform to conferences. And I know that was a big part of the Pakistan trip, make, unique, your own platform, these conferences that are multi-year things.
Yeah.
Huge. But digging into these corporations that have 85,000 employees.
Yeah.
And bake that in,
Bake it in.
They're global companies. And even the ones who are just, you talk about 10,000 people in the States at a company, 12,
right.
the people you're working with.
Right.
And there's such a big push of company culture and,
yes.
What an amazing platform to go in and install in a corporation like that and make it, there's kind of a requirement a little bit, but it's one of those things like, I wouldn't have done this on my own, but that's so awesome that I do this every week. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're getting traction right now with those folks, right?
We are. Yeah. So that was one of the first contracts we got to negotiate that gave us the perspective that we could also approach corporate Fortune 100 was with Mitsubishi. And Mitsubishi has 85,000 employees spread across the world, and they are going through a bit of a cultural lull, right? COVID hit. Their job is very engineer A plus B equals C. They have a wide variety of people, and we had an opportunity to pitch the executive level board an idea. And essentially what I said is like, what if I could create 85,000 conversations within your organization every single month? Do you think that would transfer some ideas, create some connections, inspire, make your people closer to one another? And what if those 85,000 conversations were not about work? They're just about potentially, but they're cross-culture, cross-discipline, cross-seniority. So that even if it is that the bottom level employee could potentially have a conversation with the CEO and get reinvigorated as to why they work there. And someone from automotives could talk to someone from AI and get a deeper sense of how their component fits into the giant wheel of what they're doing at Mitsubishi. And it would only take 30 minutes of your employees every month to achieve this. What do you think, right, Mr. CEO? Do you think that would unlock a lot of feelings within your company? And then can we go further? We started to do an audit on their employees. Companies don't even know what they are housing in their company, because when you apply for a job, they hire you for a specific role, but they didn't ask you what other additional training you have. Are you a Reiki certified coach? Have you done leadership training? Are you a real estate guru? Are you a musician? The company has no idea about these other components of you that are very much alive. And this is why the Great Resignation was happening, because people don't feel like their entire beings and their purpose is at all being executed or utilized in these companies, and they're feeling, not as purposeful as they could. And so we said, dear Mitsubishi, phase 1, yes, get your people talking. Phase 2, let's do an audit and pool all of these services that your employees have within them that you don't know, and list them in a marketplace and give every employee, this is a big what if, this is now bigger. What if you gave every employee $1,000 on a wallet, just like you offer health benefits or fitness benefits, right? Or office work benefits, work from home money. And then you let them buy services from one another, gave them a side gig within your company. I'm going to go as far to say, if you were the first company that do that, first of all, that would be world renowned. Second, why would I ever leave a company if I had a stable income and a little bit of an opportunity to have a side gig with baked in demand? Imagine me listing a service into a pool of 85,000 people that all have $1,000 to spend. I don't want to go out and do that in the world by myself. That's way easier. And then you're going to get this camaraderie, okay, that starts to happen. And all that money is going to stay within Mitsubishi. So it's not even like you're paying, it's just going to be circulating. And you can narrow it how you want. If you want to frame it as mentorship, you can do that. You can let people get mentorship from anyone within the company. So again, dear new Mitsubishi employee, as part of being an employee at Mitsubishi, we want you to know that we want you to have one conversation with anybody you want at the company to learn more about the company and how it works and who works here and what they're all about. That's a requirement. Oh, and you get $1,000 to spend on absolutely anybody in the company for advancement, whether it's personal or professional, and you can search our internal directory to do that. And when it comes time, you'll be able to list there as well. What an interesting way to unlock, right? Pick My Brain is all about unlocking value between people, starting with identifying what people have to offer, the profile, the marketplace, how do I search it? And then instigating with some networking, the conversations and the commerce. And again, like this is going to be a long-term play because these companies don't move very fast, right? That's a very big idea, but we're piloting it. And I know that the vision is strong enough to be like, I hope someday before I die that every Fortune 100 company has to count the number of conversations that they inspire within the company just as much as they have to count, the revenue that is coming in. It becomes another indicator so that when I'm choosing which company to work at, I can pick the really hyper-connected one. Because it means I'm going to go further faster. It's going to mean I'm going to get more for this job. Same with universities. Universities should have to count how many connections and conversations they provide the student. I don't want to walk out with this degree anymore, right?
Yeah, out to the real world. Yeah, like there's nothing that quantifies that right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are the types of things that are evolving, right? From day one of trying it myself to getting people to do it, to building our marketplace, to building marketplaces for other people, and thinking about just this concept of knowledge, commerce, connection, mixing and matching, broad perspective, higher consciousness. That's what we're all about. So yeah, there's a lot of, I'm really interested to watch and be part of the journey of Pick My Brain as it evolves. But yeah, there's a lot of pockets to drop it into.
Oh, I love it so much. And before we wrap, I want to make sure we dig into this latest piece that you've got, which again, I love so much of this, really facilitating these 10 million conversations very well, and this program that you've got.
Yeah. So I have to think about how do I facilitate 10 million conversations around the world, right? That's the problem that I'm looking to solve. And I've got the tool in the marketplace and that's working along, but I thought, how can I amplify this? And so I came up with this program, this subscription, and it's called Meet the World's People. And it is a subscription that allows you to do just that. And it's actually, the inspiration came from Audible. I'm a huge Audible member. So for those of the audience, I don't know if you guys have heard about Audible, but it's this subscription-based service where you pay $15 a month, you get a credit, and then you can use that credit to go download a book and listen to it. And I've been a member for Audible for over 7 years. And again, because I'm part of a subscription that drops a credit into my account every month, hey Max, you got a credit. Hey Max, you got a credit. It's actually amplified my reading and diversified my reading. And then they gamify it, I'll probably never stop because they call me a scholar now. And I love it. It makes me feel good and fuzzy or whatever. So I always said, I was as an economist, as a business, as an entrepreneur, I was I love this business model. I love being part of it. I love how it impacts me. I love how it motivates me to read more. And I always knew that I would lean on it. So Meet the World's People is exactly that. Only instead of using your credit to go download a book and listen to it, you use that credit to go have a 30-minute conversation with anyone you want from our database. And again, it's just this easy inspiration to sign up and commit to having one conversation with the world's people every month. And in doing so, become more all-knowing. So if we can get 1 million people on that, that's 12 million conversations a year right there. So I've solved the problem. So that is the subscription that I'm going to be launching in the next couple months. We're soft rolling it out right now. And again, why you want to be on it, first of all, it's just so exciting. It's going to make you so interesting as a human and give you so much to talk about and introduce you to opportunities that you didn't even know, like flying to another country maybe. But also, it's just part of something bigger than yourself. It's like, do you want to help us achieve this mission? We're going to do a global experiment. And 30% of those are going to lead to commerce according to our data. And that's staggering. That's a very high conversion. Typical like email is, I don't know, I think 6%, maybe lower, 2%. I'm not sure. And it's 30%. It's because you fall in love with people when you talk to them. There's so much that you uncover that you couldn't get from a website, a very static, non-interactive form of media. And so for those, it's just a boost. If you're interested in the commerce, it will increase that. If you're just interested in meeting the world's people and want to be on this subscription until the day you die because you just know in your heart that it's going to be really cool, then great, come on board for that. And sign up for both being someone to be able to be met, right? It's like this giant library. It's the human library where you just take out a person and for 30 minutes you get to explore them, and then that's it. No commitment after that. But we're very passionate about this subscription. I'm very excited about it. I want it to be the next subscription that's like masterclass level that kind of flies around the world, and makes us all just a little closer. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And how is it structured? You've got some other like structure to that, right? Like in certain amount of like full group meetings and things like that.
Yeah. So once you're part of Meet the World's People, you'll get every month you're asked to book a person one-on-one, but you also get to join these group networking events for everyone who's joined Meet the World's People. So once a month we host a global networking party. You attended our last one where we invite everyone into a Zoom session and we do 3 breakout sessions, and we actually give you a question to zoom out and talk to someone within a room. So you get to explore. And then once a month, we'll actually draw someone from the program to teach a master class on something that they care really deeply about. So you get to be involved in that as well. So it's kind of like university by the people for the people. So this one subscription, gets you 1 conversation a month, one-on-one, and then 2 events that get you globally networking in a totally new way that I haven't seen available yet on the market.
So powerful.
Yeah.
This is, I could talk about this stuff all day long. I promise you that. I'm in awe of you, of what you've created already.
Thank you.
And then to just, it's so much bigger so quickly. We touched on those bigger components a little bit from university, but it's I can feel it. I don't have them yet, but I can feel it, that it's even bigger and more expansive, and it's powerful, and I love it, and I think that it's so needed in this world as we evolve, like you said, from just like consciousness and connection piece, but it's so, we need that unifying force.
We do
in the world, and I think you and your platform are certainly that, and I'm so impressed.
Thank you so much. So you're signing up, right, Jason?
Of course, got to.
No, totally.
This has just been one big sales call, hasn't it? Dang it, you got me.
30% check.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing. But truly it is that unifying. We are all one, and we can sit and listen, and it's just such a fun thing to be able to practice to do, to sit with one another and just spend some time with someone around the world for 30 minutes. That's probably the only 30 minutes you're going to get with them, likely. And so to really cherish it and to sit in it and to draw something, and you can take something away. But I really will. I think it will make us realize how similar we all are and how good we all are at the core. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
That's wonderful. All right. Tell people where to go. And
I usually ask like who needs to reach out, but the answer is everybody. If you're listening to this, it's everybody. So where do they go?
Yeah, best way right now, as we kind of develop these campaigns, you can head to www.pickmybrain.world. And if you either start a profile, you don't have to go live. There's a process to go live, but you can start a profile to sign up to become a brain. And once you're a brain, you will receive invites to all of these events regularly. And you'll have a profile on our marketplace if you get accepted and approved. And then the second is just go book a brain. If you book a brain, you'll also be added to our networking list. And we don't do the email sign up right now. We actually ask people to go and experience the platform once, and then we'll invite you to more. So I'd say those two. And then, of course, you can follow us on our LinkedIn and Instagram accounts to kind of watch the story unfold. But pretty soon you'll start to see Meet the World's people pop up in different parts of the world. And I would just love to have you join. It really is for anyone. It is very inclusive. There is no one size fits. Any age, any discipline, any generation, any country, anything is welcome. It really is the opportunity to explore the diversity this planet has to offer. So keep an eye out for it. If this resonated at all, I'm always available and open on Pick My Brain forever. I always do about 10 to 20 calls a month. I'll never stop. But there's thousands of other more interesting people on the platform that are also available. So please, just like if you're feeling a lull, or if you're just wanting some inspiration, or just like a step outside of yourself, just think to yourself, I'm going to go book a brain. And for 30 minutes, I'm going to be jacked, or I'm going to go through a process, or I'm going to get outside of myself. And sometimes that's all you need to keep going. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Maxine, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
For hosting me and sharing my story and vision.
It means a lot.
Yes, of course. I'm excited.
Yeah. Me
Big
too.
time.
Me too.
And we'll see you all next time.
Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of this show. If you want help creating authority building video content, or even a client generating show of your own, go to MediaLeadsCo.com and let's connect. I'll talk to you soon on the next Strategy in Action.